Hey guys, welcome to the another episode of Limitless Leadership Podcast. You all know that where here we reveal the life stories of real heroes. What do I mean by real heroes? Who are inspiring, impacting and helping people, those who are going through all kind of disorder, problems, stress and all types of tension. So today I am very excited to know about a practicing psychologist and a life coach, certified career counselor. I'm not going to talk much about her as this podcast is going to be about her life itself. So we are going to ask her series of questions. And thank you so much, ma'am. First of all, you have, with very short notice, you have agreed to come on our podcast. Thank you so much. And please introduce yourself and then we will deep dive in your work and everything. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Suraj, so much. And yes, I'm Vindhya. I'm a certified life coach and a career counselor, also a psychologist. I'm also very proud to say that I'm a trainer, a soft skill trainer. I take care of personalities. I can talk about personalities when I meet people. So these are all my interests, and because I observe the behavior, I observe the language patterns, and I will be able to tell something about them. When if I get to interact. And I'm a defense officer's wife. I'm again very proud to say that as well. So my journey began in 2003 precisely. So now I have more than 2 decades of experience, and I got certified as a life coach in 2018. So which is also again more than 5-6 years now. Yeah. So I'm very thrilled to be here and share my experiences.
Amazing, super. So we are going to talk about your journey as an expert. But before that, I would like to just know that who you were before becoming a psychologist, coach or career coach. What was your nature? क्या था आपका nature?
I was a simple housewife. In fact, I was married very early, so I was never into doing any work or anything. I thought that I must be giving more time to children and settle. And moreover, he was in the Navy, so his absence was very predominant. And because of that, my contribution was more towards the family. So I didn't work. In fact, for 10 years, I didn't pick up anything. And suddenly, when my son started going to school, my son is a second child. So when he started going to school, I realized that I always wanted to be a secretary because my basic degree is corporate secretaryship. So I wanted to become a secretary. So I thought that I must do something now. I shouldn't waste time. So that's the time. And then I realized that I missed the bus because it's 10 years down the line and things have changed in the industry everywhere. So I thought that okay, let me take up teaching first, and then if I get an opportunity to become a secretary, I will. So I learned. I completed my Montessori degree, and then I started working in the KG school. So that's my beginning. And of course, later it diverted into several places. Because of his transfer, I had to work in many places and then acquire my own qualifications. Yeah.
Right. I can totally understand that. And for my life, I mean, I have been with defense people. I was a military school student, so learn a lot from them, and it is truly amazing. I really appreciate that. And the kind of support you are providing to them is something which is remarkable. What I want to ask you is like, what were some of your biggest struggles throughout the life?
Struggles, yes. To begin with, every second year or every third year, we'll be out of a place and we move to another place. So the first question. Any employer, any client or anybody whom I want to meet for a professional reason, the first question will be how long are you going to be here and why should I give you an opportunity. So this is the biggest struggle for me, and every place has its own flavor. So by the time I understand and tune myself to it, then my husband will be transferred out. So it is a It is one of the struggles that I faced throughout, and that is one of the reasons that I felt that I must study more. I must equip myself more, acquire more degree, more qualification, so that before they ask me anything, I should be able to tell them that, see, this is what is my qualification, this is my experience, this is what I am bringing to you. So that the struggle can become little easy for me. But it was never. But I think those struggles only shaped me up, and whatever I am today, those questions are the reasons that I could evolve so much. I still have to evolve, but whatever I am today, it is basically because of that struggle. I think that is only the struggle for me. Rest, whenever I get an opportunity or I got an opportunity, I am very confident of moving myself. So
amazing, super. So you have already mentioned about it, but I just want to know then, what were some of your things which has completely changed you? I mean, if I ask you who you were before and now, what do you think? What are those things, or what are those trainings or certifications or clients? What has transformed you to become an expert?
Oh, one thing again, because since I travel to many places, I met many people. So their life, actually, I learned a lot from their life also. So it helped me in my own way. Like for my as a mother, I learned a few things from other mothers. Maybe I was not doing it, and I felt that I must do, or maybe I was patting myself that yes, you are doing it, which is good. So transformation happened. Maybe like I language is improved, yes, because I learned NLP, which is a neuro linguistic program. So I really know what to say and what not to say, and made me more confident and assertive. I don't I'm a straightforward person. It is very difficult for me to mince words, but then I make it a point that I talk correctly and without hurting anybody. So that part, I think that helped me, because all these experiences and the certifications that I have done, this really helped me. See, the certifications, what I'm talking about is psychometric tools. So psychometric tools, when you learn, usually it is administered on us first. So we will come to know more about ourselves. So one thing here I would like to add is I was doing FITS, which is Carl Jung's personalities their certification. So there was a test. I did the test, and I never knew that maybe I'm one kind of particular personality. So which was a revelation for me. Oh, I fall into this. So this is the reason for me to behave in such a way, and at the same time I understood other people. So they fall into that category, and how I should talk to them. So this helped me. This transformation is all because of maybe my language is improved, and the way I see the world, and I became more assertive also.
Absolutely. I can totally relate with you. I have done a career counseling for more than 10 years and did counseling for more than 7,500 students.
Great.
And by using psychometrics. So I can totally relate with you. The day I remember when I give my test first, and what a realization I got out of it. Psychometric is something amazing.
Yes.
And I really love it. And I strongly believe that every counselor or every psychologist should use that power of psychometric.
Correct.
It is something really amazing.
Yeah.
What do you think? There was any time in your coaching journey where you felt, let me just give up? Kuch nahi ho raha, I'm not getting clients. If I build something and then I need to shift. So was there any thought in your life, let me just give up with this profession?
Yeah, see, it's not very lucrative. It appears like that, and advertisements are all gimmicks. Even now, I keep seeing some advertisement like, oh, you have a mentality to help people. Are you this particular age and you don't have to join this? You can learn, you can earn 1 lakh and all. It is all just gimmick. It's not easy. And in fact, this profession, people also feel that she's talking, or the coach is just talking. Why should we pay? So they directly get into this. can you give me some discount? Can I take a free session from you? These are all the challenges, I think every coach or any psychologist, faces. So, but I this is a passion. So I never felt that I should quit this and then do something else, because everything was entangled in my case, like even as a trainer or a psychologist or a counseling, whatever I did, everything is connected. So I never felt that I should quit or try something new. In fact, one of my bosses also asked me whether should I take in fact he asked me to take up this corporate relationship and business development. He said that you can do it, Vindhya, but no, I said no, this is not possible for me, because after a long thought and my efforts, I've become a life coach. I don't want to go back, because this is me. It's basically me, so I can't change myself. This is real. I never felt it. Of course, it's not lucrative as it appears. That part I totally agree.
Challenges are there, but you never felt that. That is amazing. So that leads me to another question, that then who has inspired you throughout this time? I mean, any book, any mentor, any side, who has inspired you or keep on inspiring to become a trainer, to become a counselor, to become a psychologist? Who has inspired you?
There are people, Paulo Coelho, I read his books. The Alchemist Theory taught me that you wish from your heart, the universe will help you to achieve it. And I have that ma'am is not in the world now. She's no more. She's Dr. Suguna. She helped me. She was my mentor, I can say, because I considered her as a mentor. I met her in Visakhapatnam, and she used to inspire me, because she was elder than me, and I think at that age she struggled to become whatever she was. I think once I hear that story, I think mine is much better. I mean, I'm still fortunate. And also my another person who I get inspired is Dr. Abdul Kalam. He inspires a lot. I read his books and his biography and all that. He also inspires me. So, and then I think the challenges which came into my life were also the reasons, because I was thrown to different places. So whenever I met people, and I had to buck up myself every time. So yeah.
Amazing. So I just have one more question. In the first place, why do you choose this profession of a trainer?
Yeah. So yes, as I mentioned earlier, I was working as a KG teacher, but even though my degree is for a secretary. Yeah. So we went to Mumbai, and I got an opportunity to work as an assistant secretary after 2 years of my school experience. And then I was very thrilled in life. I felt that, I have achieved what I wanted to do. And then I realized that, I'm maybe as you are also a career counselor, we may have interest, we may have the skills, sometimes we may not have the personality, or we may not have the inclination to do actually the thing which we are actually expecting. So when I really worked as a secretary, I felt that I don't have that personality, because there are a lot of things which are involved, which one has to devote a lot of time.
Yes.
My personality was not cut for that, and I couldn't survive. And at the same time, my boss had another venture, that is again soft skill training and all. So we got introduced to that part of it. So I felt that this is more interesting than this secretaryship. And when we got transferred to Visakhapatnam after that, and I tried to be a communication trainer in a B school, and I got that opportunity, even though I didn't have an MBA that time. But they offered me this job, and I started enjoying it. And then I decided that I should become a trainer, because KG I didn't enjoy much, so which is why I shifted. But at the same time, I think that trainer's profile attracted me, and I felt that I'm more cut to teach or train the adults. So that's how slowly the interest developed to become a trainer. And the success is very sweet, So you
Mm.
progress when you taste the success move. The students liked my sessions, and also then that gave me the confidence to go ahead and ahead.
Mm. Amazing, amazing, super. So it happens to you. It was not planned. Life,
No.
gave you that gift, and you have accepted it, and
No.
you are living. And
No.
so, was there any fear in between
About
this profession, or you switching to many places, many different roles? So was there any fear in you which was stopping you, or you never felt fear about all those things?
fear
Fear of
see
change,
the
fear of new
fear
things.
no, a fear change was not a problem, but yes, that
Okay.
sadness used to be there whenever we would no, we used to leave that particular place and move. For example, we were in Delhi, and I was doing very well in Delhi with my clients and with my freelancing, all that. And then suddenly the transfer came to Cochin. So from Delhi we went to Cochin. So again, it took 5-6 months for me to stabilize and get into the market. So that is the fear, because you are competing, or you are making a mark in the place where already people are existing, and monopoly is there, and so that. But it was not fear exactly, but I used to feel bad that why can't had my life had stability, maybe I wouldn't have to go through all this. But sometimes it's both ways. Sometimes I'm happy also, because I met a lot of people because of this. So both ways, but I don't think I was scared. But yes, this transfers used to really terrorize me, only that.
What do you think, Wow? What are some of the fears that people silently face?
One is, like, see, as a woman, I can say sometimes it is not safe. Sometimes people take advantage of this profession, because they all talking about their inner conflicts, inner fear, lot of personal issues they discuss. So sometimes as a woman, it becomes little unsafe, and some people may take advantage of it, and one has to be very, very strong and set the boundary very clearly. So that is one thing I can say. Other challenges, again, one has to be, if you are cutthroat commercial person, yes, then things can move. Suppose if you have a very, very soft heart, and then you may end up absorbing a lot, and then you're not voicing it out. As it is, it happens, because everyone is coming and talking about their issues, and you are listening to that, and sometimes it gets into your subconsciousness. So at times it is also helping or not helping. It is also triggering you to judge, which is not correct. So the cord cutting is important. You will have to detach yourself from that particular person, or the issue, not the person exactly, the issue. So that is something which people are silently suffering, and I think that we need to understand. Their problem is their problem. It is not our problem. So
absolutely. And at the end, we are also human, that we will get impacted. No matter whether we are a psychologist or what degree or certificate we have. Ultimately, we are going to get impacted. And even people struggle, what I believe, is with the problem of charging. Either they undercharge, or they don't charge, or even they don't ask for the fees. So such thing happens. I run a community called Limitless Leadership Club, where I help coaches and trainers to take action on all such things. And I can totally relate with what you are saying, that people are, coaches and trainers are having all those issues. Now we have talked many things about you. I just want to have a little bit highlights on what do you think, who is your ideal target market?
Young people.
You serve
young people
with what problem?
Relationship issues, confidence issues, and if they want to change their career, then emotionally they are drained. and they don't know what kind of emotions they are going through. And sometimes why, whether they have cognitive emotions, or they have affectionate emotions. So, and why do they behave this way? So these are the issues they go through, and yeah, that's what I would like to target.
Yeah, and there is a huge need. Youth is most what to say, directionless. I should say.
Yes,
they
yes.
need directions. And
Correct.
what do you think? I mean, I am curious to know more now. That what transformation you give to this youth?
To these young people.
Yeah.
See, my coaching style will be generally using psychometric. I don't directly get into coaching or counseling anything. If someone is coming to me and asking me to about a particular problem, if they say, I have my own psychometric tools. Of course, coaching tools also we have, but that will happen later. First, I administer the test and understand them, where they fall into, what kind of person they are, and only then we can talk. Because if someone is a feeler, and if I'm talking to that person logically, it may not go to his head at all, and he will think that what is she saying, I don't feel like agreeing to it. So I have to understand that person, and then the root cause. For example, I can say that if somebody has come for confidence, and I don't have confidence at all to face the interview or meet the authority. So, but there is some vacuum in their life, and which is why that vacuum we need to understand. So the root cause. So I give the test, and also ask some questions, some situational questions I will ask, and then I will understand that why they are not feeling confident in those situations. Maybe there is a connection with their childhood trauma, some injunctions are there already, and that is stopping them. Maybe the parents have said that you can't do it, or someone has said that don't show your feelings. So these are all the imprints the child takes it, and then it is coming back when the authority is in front of them, or in the interview, or in the final interview they fumble it. Maybe they are too good in their logical answers. But then, so I do this way, and that is how I understand. So the challenges, there are many, but this is how I transform them. I need to understand the root cause of their issue. Unless and until I get it, I don't mind giving them 5-6 tests and get it. So because some people are they don't open up so easily. Some people just open up to strangers just like that. Even in Instagram, I have seen people just talk about their personals just like that.
Yes.
And then so see, those kind of people are different, and some people they won't, they're very strong.
They won't share their things. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
What makes your coaching so unique?
Yeah, as I just mentioned, the psychology, the
part of
psychometric, the
understanding of psychometric.
And then some situational questions I ask them, and some Dr. Zool's test, to understand. In a very funny way, I will ask them some question, and then I will tell the interpretation, and then they will say, oh, is this? Yes, you are right. This is me. So it is sometimes instead of asking them directly, do you cry? Do you feel very strong? Instead of asking all those questions, ask them something differently. And then I ask them that, okay, you buy a bouquet, will you give it in hand, or will you leave it on the table? If it is an opposite gender, will you compliment? So it's all general questions, but we come to know about them, and then slowly they'll open up, because this is all rapport building. I don't know about others, but this is how I do it. And without that scientific proof of psychometric test, I won't start my coaching at all, because I feel that one has to know about themselves first. Self-awareness is very important for me. So
yes, absolutely. And without that, we cannot even give them a right solution also. We cannot help them to arrive to their solution. And that is what we do. Amazing. So we have talked about your client and how your service is unique. I am curious to know, what are some of your habits that you perform every single day?
Habits. Okay. I write. I like to write a lot. So I get up. I write every day in the morning. That 1 hour,
Mhm.
whatever time I get up. So sometimes I get up early. Sometimes I get up even like in on Sundays. Even if I get up at 9:30. So till 10:30, it's my me time. It could be thankfully my family understood and they don't disturb me. So that's my me time. I write whatever, some quotes, some thoughts, or a paragraph or anything. So this is one of the habits, because what happens is as soon as we get up, we open our mobile phone and check the good morning messages and anything, the mails or anything. So somewhere I feel that sometimes I need to give answers, or maybe the previous night some thought was there. I read something, so I need to have my own flavor for that. So I write. So that is one
Amazing.
habit I don't stop. I cultivated, and then I'm still doing it. And then yes, exercise. I mean, go for walks and all regularly. That's the only thing. I'm a vegetarian, so I eat very simple food. That's all. Nothing very like big as a habit. But yes, this reading and writing. Definitely, it is inseparable from me. Yeah.
Amazing. That's great. Huh? And many of us are, just running with the flow and not understanding and not contemplating and not reflecting.
Yeah.
This must have definitely give you grounding, and even it would have helped you to dealt with if any of your toxic client you dealt previous
Yeah.
day. This exercise
Yes.
would help you to the
Venting
peak.
out.
I believe.
Exactly.
So this is a way of venting out. Amazing. That's awesome. So I'm now little bit more curious to know about what some of the mindset shift you have made in you that is helping you to keep yourself emotionally healthy, and where you are helping others also to in their life. So what mindset shift you have there?
So in the beginning, as I mentioned earlier, that we absorb, whether it's a client or anyone, friends or anything, when they share, we also observe their problems. So that cord cutting I do. That mind, I decided that I have to detach myself, dispassionate about the issue. You can only give solutions. You can't become them. So that mind shift, it took time. However, I changed. So now, even if someone is saying anything, I have empathy for them, but that is cognitive. When it comes to my clients, it's a cognitive empathy. I understand and I want to give solutions so that they will come out of it, rather than sitting and crying with them. So that mind shift, it took time, and it all changed because of the, as I just said, venting out. I write and write and write. So if someone is talking about heartbreak, and then they exactly narrate everything, each and every detail. So sometimes I write poems just like that in the night, because it all is playing in my mind, and I write. Okay, as though it will appear that actually I'm going through the breakup. So I share it with them, and then I say that, see, this is what I wrote after listening to your story. So they feel very connected, and then they feel that, some special touch for them, and she understood everything so clearly. So I think it is healthy at times. At the same time, after doing that, I'm free. So that mind shift, it took time, but I think that only helps me, because other thing I think I can manage, but taking their worry as my worry was a problem before. That mind shift happened later.
Amazing. And all those people, those who are absolutely new and struggling with the delivery of coaching, just take this up, guys. What she has explained, that is something really powerful. That when she created this poem, that she felt her students or coaches to make them understand that she understood them. And my mentor always used to say that people don't need solutions from us. All they need is just that we are understanding them, and that's it. And they know what to do and what not to do, but they don't feel understood. And if you are giving them just that non-judgmental space, healing start. And that when they get healed, they are free to take their own decisions. You are no one to make decision for them, and that is what another different aspect we get here.
Yeah.
Really amazing. So throughout this journey, was there any failure? And I'm sure there must be a lot of criticism. So how do you handle it?
Ignore or become more
Yeah.
powerful. See, when I started writing,
Mhm.
people have commented that she's writing about love, relationship. She
Mm.
cannot. I mean, I write more on that and less of other things, other social
Mm.
issues. Because social issues also sometimes we need to be politically correct, and then so this one
Right.
subject is universal and anybody can
Mm.
connect with. So initially, people weren't. Were making comments and criticizing
Mm.
and all that, but then I continued. I said that it is okay, I'm writing for my own happiness, not for
Yeah.
earning money or something. So I started writing, and I published my first poem book. Then those people, one of them, they had some issues in their family, so they contacted me and said that, why don't you counsel, you are an expert in that. So then I suddenly felt, oh, these are the same people who said that, okay,
They were the critic.
She can only write about relationship, she's married to the social media, and she's always online, and then she's talking to strangers and all that. And later they themselves came to me. So this is an achievement to me. So I feel that criticism is a good thing. You welcome it because people are talking about you, which means you are doing much better than them, and they are jobless and you are not. So just grow.
Amazing, superb. So you, curious to know about this book. That this book is available on, Amazon or anywhere.
Yeah, it should be available. I have written another book also, which is one is a poem book and the other one is a short stories. So
this is also available.
Yeah, it should be available on Amazon because
please provide the link to us. We will put it in the description
I can give
box.
the names of the book. I can give the names of the book because I had launched it in 2016, my first book, and 19 the second book. I don't know it is commercially successful, but yes, I am happy because I shared what I wanted to share to the world. So fine.
Please tell us at least the title of your book.
So the poem is called Dews on the Cheek. DEWS, Dews on the Cheek, which is a poem book. And the other one is Stories, Many Hearts, One Beat, which is a story book.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Super. Thank you. So, I ask you about criticism and failure. What do you mean by success?
Yeah, success is very sweet.
Okay.
People don't understand the struggles. They only see the success. So success is, I think, success, we shouldn't get satisfied. Success is we have to carry that attitude throughout, and we have to be grounded as well, because success can spoil, and it depends how we take it. So for me, success is I am able to connect with people. That's it. That's my success.
Amazing. One of the person, I don't remember his name, but he said, I believe that success spoils more experts than failure.
True.
So a person need to go multiple failures to be grounded. And if he gets sudden success, it's most likely that he will not stay for long in the game, because one storm will come and he will just wiped away. And I can totally relate. I can totally relate that. What do you think, or what would be some of your suggestions to all those newbies who are going to come in this field?
Okay. So before that, I would like to say that there was one girl, so she is also a defense officer's daughter, and she was only 27 or something, and she wanted to become a life coach. I am not against people, any young people for this. However, I asked her, there is an age for it. You're only 28. What kind of life have you seen to coach others? So she said that my childhood is a traumatic one. So I think I can coach. So first of all, I would like to say that so if you have struggled and you think that you can coach people, it is not like that. One has to be mature enough and detach yourself from absorbing things and then look at this as a very commercial profession, because it's a noble profession. You are connecting with hearts. You are talking about their inner conflicts and some of the deepest fears. So here one has to be really qualified enough and not just the paper qualification. One has to have that mindset to help people. One has to have that compassion to be with people, and I think that has to be there. And in case if someone is very young and they think that they have, then they can. Otherwise, just because okay, I worked in corporate, I survived for 4 years, and now I want to become a life coach, and it's easy money, sit at home, and then I can earn because of the ads are saying. It's not like that. It's a genuinely you have to connect with people, and if you have that in your personality, only then you can be successful also. Otherwise, you will think that, oh, this is not my cup of tea.
Yeah, you will struggle. And I totally appreciate, truly appreciate the way you are coming up on the screen and sharing the genuineness of it. Otherwise there are quick fixes or marketing messages are roaming around the internet like anything.
Yeah.
But the real genuine truth is that this is something really amazing. So that brings me to my next question. What is your vision towards your life, your career, your students' career?
Okay, so my students, I would like everybody to be a good citizen first, a good human being first. I think if I can help them in any way, I'm always there for them to help them. And my vision, I don't have counts that okay, I've coached so many people. No, I don't feel like counting also. But then I think till my last breath, I will like to be connected with people and be one of the best coaches in the industry. And then if I leave, people should say that, oh, had she been there, she would have definitely handled you, and she would have given a suggestion or be with you. So that kind of vision I have, maybe a woman of substance. That's the thing I'm aiming at. Actually, that's my vision.
Amazing, super. So you have answered a lot of questions, and I was even ask you a question about your clients, about yourself, your personal habits, and all of those. But without this question, I don't leave any expert. Okay. And I want to ask you this question that this podcast is about limitless. Okay. So what do you think? What was the limitless moment in your life where you thought this will not happen and it has happened, and you got that chance and you have break that limits, and what this limitless means to you? What do you think about limitless?
The literal meaning will be like, I would like to connect with abundance. So limitless is that, and I haven't spoken about my tarot card reading. So I am a tarot card reader also. So so my limitless feelings are, I never thought that I'll write a book. So I have published 2 books, and then when I became a coach, I also felt that sometimes even you have to be connected with spiritual also, because you get some answers through your spiritual journey. Right. So that's the reason I learned this tarot reading and angel cards and all that. So I never thought my journey will be everywhere, kind of everywhere. So I think that is one of the limitless feelings, that I'm also connected spiritually to get some answers, and I can give solutions to my clients, to my students through this also. So it is not just one way, and there are multiple ways to give suggestions or solutions to people. So that is my limitless feeling.
Amazing, superb. Really appreciate and great to know that. And at the end, now we are at the end of this podcast, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. and I
Okay.
call it a rapid fire round. And I
Okay.
want you to give me answer in one word. Okay.
Sure.
No explanation, straightforward one word. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. One habit you never skip you, one habit.
Taking bath.
One book everyone should read.
Alchemist.
One mistake new coaches make.
Expectations.
Your biggest fear.
Nothing like that.
Your biggest dream.
Maybe have more fame.
One word for your past self.
A very innocent girl.
One word for your present self.
An assertive person.
One daily success habit.
Write your thoughts.
Okay. One thing money can't buy.
Connection. Emotions.
One final message to all those who are listening this podcast.
Be creative. Be unique. Don't follow the crowd. You identify your own core strengths and then let it be any field. You create your own creativity and your own style. Nobody can copy it.
Nobody can. Be unique, you are saying. Amazing. So thank you so much for being here with us. And guys, if this point, up till this point, if you are in this video and watching this and learning this, make a note. I'm going to share all the link to connect with her in the description box. Connect with her, take her services and transform your life as well. So thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Suraj. This is amazing, and you are doing a wonderful job of connecting people with just one meeting. It goes to many places, so which is very good, and this thought itself is good. I think you are also on the same path, like contributing to society, which is a very good thought. God bless you and for your entire team. Wishing you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah.